I am with Mr. Kaimar, or maybe I should call you Sir from now on.
Yes, please.
Kaimar Karu, who is now the Emperor of ITIL. Is that right? Head of ITIL.
Officially the head of ITSM.
Okay, all right. So it's ITSM, even better. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We've just been talking. I think it's a great appointment, obviously for you, but also for the industry. I think for a number of reasons. What drove you to follow this up? What do you see as the real challenge that you've got to face?
So, as you well know, I've been sort of or somewhat critical over the years about different things, also about ITIL. Being a trainer and a consultant and a practitioner, I've seen some things work and some things not to work. And well, I have been vocal about it, and now it's an opportunity to do something about it. So the challenge is to re-identify those things which I think, or which the community thinks don't really work as well as they should, and then improve it, but not in a big bang way, and not in a revolutionary way, but more like an evolution. And as we had this session this morning, it's evolution not defined as a series of mistakes, but a well-planned evolution. So some of the areas which you think are maybe the most challenging, and also the ones that should be tackled first, would be the cultural differences. That's one thing. So yeah, coming from a small country, I know that not all things work the same way in every country. So to look at the guidance and to look at how it has been applied. So not just how it could be applied, but how it has been applied. And also globally, so not just in the UK or the US, but globally, and include that information with the guidance. So that's one of the things. New opportunities, new areas, so academia for one, for sure. Then also looking at the modern public sector, which relies more and more on IT. So the services-based public sector. So yeah, I think that the public sector has always been services-based, but it hasn't relied on IT so much. And now all the tools provided to citizens, it's a different model now. Smaller companies as well. So where ITIL was seen as too rigid, I think that perception should be changed. It's not too rigid. It depends on how you apply.
Do you have the brief and the desire to, if your title is Head of ITSM, and that obviously means ITIL plus, whatever else, but also the main focus of it has been on publications and training. Will you be looking to extend that to other areas like consulting, tools? Will you have some say in that and how those markets develop, I guess?
Possibly. Well, the ITSM instead of ITIL is because in the ITSM arena there's more than just ITIL. So we own ITIL, but we are looking into other frameworks and philosophies as well, such as DevOps. And we want to, it's not that we always want to own the other frameworks or own the IP for those, but we want to make sure that we take them into account and provide guidance on how to use them together with ITIL.
I guess where I was going with the question, I didn't frame it terribly well, was also just about identifying the results, not just of the training that's completed successfully, but that is working for an organization.
So if I understand you correctly, then yes, we are planning on looking more at the quality and the results of what our partners are doing. So and I mentioned this morning as well, as with the trainings, for instance. My experience is that some of the training providers are not very good. It doesn't mean that IT training in general is terrible, but there are some providers who are not very good. And sometimes the materials are not very good, and sometimes the trainer is not very good. And the person who suffers because of that is the delegate. So we do want to address that as well, to improve the quality of the trainings and kind of to actually make sure that they deliver value to the customer rather than just put them out there and let them be on their own.
But the value proposition around that presumably would be that ITSM or ITIL or both delivers this to your organization.
Yes, rather than just a training. Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, how do you, it's probably early to ask you this question, but how would you develop that from what's currently there, as I said, still based on publications and training?
This is a work in progress at the moment. So the value proposition is one of the things we're currently working very heavily. So in a few months, I think we should have the first outcome of that. So actual value proposition for organizations of different sizes and types, which addresses exactly this.
Okay. What just, let's say, what do you think will be good progress on ITSM in, let's say, 6-9 months? Will we see, what sorts of things might we see within that time frame?
So my view on this is, once we start developing complementary material, and that's one of the things we will start doing from day one, to address some key processes. So for instance, incident management, event management, change management, release management, to provide additional information, additional materials, guidance for those processes, and not the theoretical stuff, but the practical stuff and the actual experience. So in 6, 9 or 12 months, I think, once we have identified the processes, they might be the 4 I mentioned, they might be something else. If we can provide additional materials for each of those, so that when practitioners think about, okay, I might need this process for my company, what should I do, how should I do it, and they have enough complementary material to actually answer that question, rather than reinvent the wheel, then I think that's already very good.
And what do you think will be your biggest sort of challenge, what, sort of blocker to success? I mean, this has been around for 20, 30 years. Mm-hmm. There are problems structurally in the industry, as we know and we've talked about for a long time. Now the foot's on the other foot for you to actually make it happen. What are you anticipating as the big issues that you're going to have to face and overcome?
One of them, of course, is the perception of ITIL, to change the perception of ITIL. Perception is based on the current or the application over the years, which hasn't always been the way it should have been. So ideally seen, as I mentioned, maybe a bit rigid, maybe outdated, so to fight that perception. The other thing is the somewhat political world of ITSM. So when we talk about software vendors, I really like how they're more like partners rather than enemies. But there are some other areas where the competition is much more fierce, and instead of maybe helping each other, the results are not as good. Yeah. So.
Well, what do you think will be your learning need in not just getting on top of the role and the tasks, but you've got a lot of skills and capabilities. What other things do you think you will need to bring to this role to make it successful? To deal with those kind of issues, politics and branding, I suppose.
It probably sound arrogant when I say that. I think I have all the skills I need, for now at least. I'm not sure what I need to learn extra in. I think I can manage the first year or two, let's say a year, without significant relearning or additional learning. That's probably why AXELOS decided to hire me as well. But the world around us is changing so fast. And when we talk about DevOps or Agile, those worlds are also changing really, really fast. And to keep up with that. So we need to go into more detail. So we need to be aware of more or less everything that's happening in those worlds. So just kind of to keep an eye on that, to be engaged. So it's not so much about learning, I think, but just kind of being involved. and that will take a lot of time. And while doing that, we'll learn a lot, of course. But yeah, nothing. I wouldn't say there's anything really specific that I need to address before I can start doing my job. I think.
What do you think is the what do you think you will bring to it that is different?
To the ITIL world, or
yeah, I mean, there's perception of kind of, well, it used to be people called it Castle ITIL, but it's more of the kind of old boy network. What are you going to bring to that that's going to be different? That's going to help to break that up?
So practical knowledge of some of the other frameworks and philosophies, such as Agile and DevOps, that's for sure. So rather than just kind of something I've read from the books. Maybe a more practical approach in some areas. So pragmatic, Northern European approach to things, which might be a bit critical at times, but yeah, it's a different approach, different view on things, and different view on how to make things happen. So not the traditional, maybe also less political correctness, at least in the beginning, which might be refreshing as well.
I'm sure it will be. Congratulations again, and I wish you good luck with the role.
Thank you.
I really want it to be a great success. So thank you very much, and speak to you again soon. So.
Yep. Thanks.
So you're the sales and marketing director for AXELOS.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about that role, Kelvyn? Just because it's actually quite an interesting one in this industry to have somebody doing that, if you like.
Okay, so I'm 6 weeks into the job. My background has been predominantly at Microsoft for most of my career, running the sales and partner channels for education, Microsoft Education for the UK and the Middle East and Africa. And I think there was a need for a role within AXELOS to coordinate all of the sales and marketing activities, because I think looking at the history of the Cabinet Office, where it was before, there was no real marketing spend, there was no effort put into sales, and it was just a case of letting it grow organically globally. So now there's a real need to put a structured sales and marketing department together.
Again, it sounds like an obvious question, but what will you actually be selling? What sort of messages are you going to be creating, and what will you actually be selling that maybe wasn't sold before? Put it in that kind of
I think, bearing in mind I'm new to this industry, so I come from the learning and education industry, but I think from what I've seen so far that there's a pie, and the pie is basically all about market share at the moment rather than growing the pie. So what we're trying to do is to grow the whole ecosystem so that everybody benefits from it. So by injecting marketing funds and sales effort with a new partner program into that community, I think we can grow the whole marketplace for all the stakeholders.
Okay, and presumably that will include defining value proposition, all that kind of stuff. Again, that hasn't really been there.
No,
before.
Right now we're working on value props for Prince2 and for ITIL, and they will go into the new partner program collateral when it's ready in the coming weeks.
Okay, so there's this partner program. Do you want to give us some high-level information on that? What have you got, marketing partners and?
Yeah, so the segmentation right now is split between academic partners and sales partners. So we, from a sales and marketing point of view, we want to go into academia because we think it's very valuable to introduce the messaging of best practice management early into academia. So we are going to be targeting universities and colleges over the coming months to get them signed up as academic partners, and then we'll provide them with white papers, research, collateral on all of the best practice portfolio that we have. And the second strand to it is the sales side. So that will be ATOs, EIs, etc. And that will be in 2 tiers. So we're going to have a premier tier and we're going to have an ordinary partner tier. And depending on which level they join the partner program at, they get access to certain marketing collateral and services that we're going to provide for them. And some of those are obviously the collateral I've mentioned. We are building a new website which will include a partner portal, and Premier partners will get a presence on our website. We're going to talk about lead generation, sponsorship opportunities, sales training, product training, co-funded marketing, all those type of goodies.
One thing you did mention, I heard at your presentation, was this, you said lead generation. You're actually going to create opportunities and leads and then pass them back to the market or back to the partners.
There's two sides we're going to do that. So we're building a new community portal, and one of the things that the portal will have will be find an ATO. And if you're a potential delegate somewhere looking for a course, you'll be able to go onto the website, find the country where you want to take the course, then find an ATO, and then you'll be able to click straight through a lead generation system to that partner. And also the other side of it as well is we're planning to build a direct sales team, a solution sales team, because I don't think there's been enough focus on the big ticket solution sales to the large organisations and governments. So we're going to produce a team of people that will go out and find these opportunities and actually do consultative selling. So they'll put a solution, a tailored solution together for a large blue chip. And then what we'll do is we'll hand that lead over to the community, to our partner community.
That really sounds interesting. And again, I mean, my next question is moving on to, I suppose, referring to your previous experience and what you think will be the different kinds of challenges, because it's not, we're in almost a new territory with some of this, and we are talking about, although you say you come from ELAN, a lot of the ITIL, certainly ITIL content is simply IP and how you turn that into something practical.
Yep.
What do you think will, from what you've seen so far, what do you think will be the real challenges of this role and the marketplace for AXELOS? I
think, as an outsider coming in, I think the channel as it is really disjointed right now, and I think there's a lot of islands, a lot of isolated organisations, and I think we really could be stronger together. And I'll give you an example. So one of the initiatives that we're going to be working on is the Partner Roundtable, as we're calling it. So we're planning 7 sessions, twice yearly to start with, probably quarterly next year. And they're going to be in North America, LATAM, Europe, Asia and Australia. And we're going to run a 1 or 2 day session where we'll invite our premier partners into the room to discuss specific issues that are occurring in that territory. So let me give you an example. So if we were in Japan, and for instance the conversion rate for ITIL up to the next level of the track is very poor. So one of the agenda items for that roundtable would be, why is the conversion rate so poor? So rather than us trying to take a guess at it from London, now that we're becoming a truly global organisation, we want to hear it from the people on the ground that are working in that region. So then round that table we'll come up with a solution for that issue, and then we will put money into a solution to fix the problem. So we will do some co-funding, co-marketing, etc. to solve that issue. And then we're going to do that in all of the 6 or 7 regions.
And just that's driven another question about the sales and marketing, or the sales team, the direct sales team. Will that be global?
Yes, it will. Yeah. So we will predominantly be out there hunting for the big ticket sales, and then handing them over to the partner community. But we'll also be using that team to provide solution sales training to the partners, and also in-field support. So if any of the ATOs have large opportunities, we'll be helping them with bid support, solutions training, and actually going with them to the meetings to help them put the solutions together.
Okay. And finally then, I mean, you mentioned some challenges there in terms of the industry being disjointed. Are there any other ways that AXELOS is looking to, if you like, pull that together? I mean, you mentioned a number of things there, but when you talk about the industry, are you talking about just the ATOs, that community, or is it broader in the ITSM community? Because there's other people doing consulting and all the tool vendors. How are you facing that part of the market?
I think collaboration is the key with all of this, because right now everybody sees everybody else as a competitor. So everyone's fighting for their own little space. And I think what we could do is, if we could join all of this market intel together, what we can do is grow the whole ecosystem for everybody. And I think the challenge is going to be to get away from that mindset of people not wanting to share any intel because they think their competitors are going to get the advantage. But I'll give you an example. So if we were in Japan and there was 4 or 5 ATOs around the table, and by sharing every little nugget of information we've got and then putting a plan together, then everybody benefits. So this is, I think, the biggest challenge is to overcome this mindset of not wanting to share information, because I think everyone will benefit from it in the end if we can crack that.
Sounds very positive.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, and look forward to probably speaking to you again in due course.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you very much.